Have you ever known someone who seemed to live in a slightly different reality? Someone whose charm could light up a room, but whose coldness, when it finally appeared, felt like a total eclipse? You are not alone. You've likely encountered a personality structure that we're talking about more and more, and yet somehow still deeply misunderstanding narcissism. But this isn't just about a label, this is about a pattern, a life cycle that many people with strong narcissistic traits tend to follow. Like any life arc, it has a beginning, a middle, and often a tragic end. Today, I want to walk you through that path. Let's be clear right up front. This is a common pattern, not a guaranteed roadmap. Not everyone follows it, and not every narcissist looks the same. Narcissistic traits exist on a spectrum. People can change, some even mellow with time. But for many who remain trapped in this mindset, the path is tragically predictable. This video isn't meant to excuse behavior, it's meant to empower you with knowledge. Because when you understand the script, you can refuse to play a role in their drama. What if I told you that the charming, successful person in your life might be headed for a bitter, lonely end? Many people with narcissistic traits move through distinct phases, and I've seen a handful of them. Today, I'm going to walk you through that life cycle from its early roots to the collapse that often waits at the end. This is phase zero, how narcissism begins. Before phase one, we need to ask, how is a narcissist made? The answer isn't simple. It's a mix of nature and nurture. Think of it like this. Genetics is the soil, environment is the sun and rain. Two high-risk environments often show up in the research. First, parental overvaluation. This is the golden child, praised for being superior, not for effort. Love becomes performance-based. Second, emotional neglect. This is the invisible child growing up in the dark. They build a fantasy version of themselves just to survive. In both cases, the child learns who I really am isn't enough. So they build a false sense, and that false sense becomes a blueprint for their entire identity. Now, before we dive in, remember that narcissism is a spectrum. Having a few traits doesn't mean someone has narcissistic personality disorder. But when these traits take over, they can become a lifelong pattern that harms everyone around them. Phase one, the entitled seed that starts young. A quiet, formative belief takes root. I'm special. The rules don't apply to me. For the overvalued child, mistakes are always someone else's fault. For the neglected child, the world owes them. Either way, love becomes a currency to be earned or manipulated. In families with a golden child and a scapegoat, you'll see this early dynamic play out clearly. Relationships aren't about connection. They're about control. That's the seed, and it sets the stage for everything that follows. Relationships aren't about connection. They're about control. Phase two, the birth of the false self. As they grow up, reality starts pushing back. Teachers have rules, bosses expect results, partners want authenticity, but their fragile ego can't handle being wrong. So they build a shield, a false self, a perfect persona, confident, charming, untouchable, but it's all performance. They mirror the people around them, not to connect, but to manipulate. Some become bold and arrogant, the grandiose narcissist. Others play the victim, the covert narcissist. But underneath it all, the same need for control and admiration. This isn't growth, it's addiction. And the next phase fuels that addiction. Phase three, the high of the validation. Now they ascend. This is their golden age, charismatic, successful, craving only one thing, narcissistic supply. That means praise, admiration, fear, attention, whatever feeds the false self. They'll do anything to get it. Work 80 hours, love bomb a new partner, steal credits, sabotage rivals, whatever it takes to stay admired. Their relationships are transactional. Love bombing becomes a tactic, not love, but a strategy. They don't fall in love with you, they mirror you to hook you. It feels like a whirlwind romance, but it's just a means to an end. And no matter how much supply they get, it's never enough. That's when things start to crack. If this is starting to feel familiar, you're not alone. Drop a comment if you've seen this cycle firsthand. Your voice helps others feel seen, and it builds a community that actually understands. And if you're finding this helpful, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Phase 4, the mirror game. Now comes the plateau. Keeping up the false self is exhausting. Other people become mirrors, and if that mirror reflects anything but perfection, it's discarded. This is an infamous cycle. Idealize, devalue, discard. Gaslighting becomes a weapon. They rewrite your reality to keep control. If that doesn't work, you're replaced. Not because you changed, but because you stopped reflecting the fantasy. They collect people like props. No real intimacy, no real friends. Just constant emotional labor to maintain the lie. Phase 5, the mask cracks. Eventually, the performance slips. A scandal, a failure, a breakup. Something pierces the armor. This triggers a narcissistic injury and then rage. They lash out. They smear your name. Project their flaws onto you. Play the victim. But if they can't regain control, the mask starts to fall apart. They spiral, depression, paranoia, bitterness. Their world starts to shrink. They are no longer admired, and they don't know how to function without it. Phase 6, the isolated shell. This isn't guaranteed. Some keep the mask up for life, but many face a collapse. The people are gone, the applause is gone, the power is fading. They're emotionally bankrupt, still clinging to a false self that no longer works. They might try to pull people back in, hoovering fake apologies, manufactured emergencies. But more and more, people see through the act. And what's left? A lonely shell. A banquet with no guests, surrounded by the ghosts of the bridges they burned. Phase 7, the miserable ending. This is the reckoning. Old age, failing health, and no support. They may become dependent on the very people they hurt. And rather than reflect, they often double down, waiting for an apology that will never become, because the world never owed them one to begin with. It's not always a dramatic crash. Sometimes it's just a slow, painful fizzle. A life spent chasing admiration but never experiencing love. This cycle isn't about pity, it's about clarity. When you understand the pattern, you can protect yourself from it. You stop playing the role. You reclaim your peace. You learn to walk away, not in bitterness, but in power. And if you've been through this, you are not alone. Healing is possible, and it starts with this: knowing the truth, trusting yourself again, and rebuilding brick by brick your authentic life. And if you know someone who needs this, please share it. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.